Hello, everybody. Happy Halloween. It is me, Lisa Warner, here in Soul Source Healing. So happy Halloween. So you may be asking, well, hey, Lisa, where's your costume? Guess what? This is the costume. This physical skin suit, the body, is our costume. We are infinite beings here on Earth in these costumes. We put on these body costumes so that we can come and have a physical experience here on Earth. We are not these bodies. These bodies are the costume. So we have to start looking at what's going on with the costume. What's going on with us as beings here on this planet? So when we come in and we take on these costumes, we put the costume on. Hey, Michelle, internet working. Woohoo! I'm glad you joined us. Hey, Carol, good to see you. Oh, and Denise, hey, sweet, what's up? So it's Halloween, and we've put on all of these costumes. We have these skin suits on, and when we put this costume on, it's like putting the sheet over our head, making the eye holes. Okay, now we pretend, boo, we're ghosts. Guess what? That's what we are anyway. We are ghosts. We don't have a physical body. That's who we are. Hey, Brenda, good to see you. Thanks for joining me. So when we put these skin suits on, we forget that we are infinite beings. We get so wrapped up in looking at the physicalness of our bodies, of what's going on, and we forget that we are non-physical beings. We are creator beings. That's who we are. It's what we do. We create. Right now, each one of us is creating our life story. Everything that's happening to us right now is something that we have created. Now, you'd say, well, I've got this thing going on. I've got this disease. I've got this money thing. I've got this relationship problem, whatever it is. And we go, I didn't create that. Well, of course you didn't create it consciously, but the fact is that everything is energy, and we create with energy. And as non-physical beings, that's what we are. We are energy. And energy is what we do. It's how we operate. It's how we create. So we are creating with our energy in every moment. So what does that look like? It looks like we have an idea, a thought, an opinion, a judgment, a conclusion. We make an assessment, whatever it is. We structure our thoughts. And when we structure our thoughts in the form of conclusions and judgments and assumptions and observations, those thoughts get structured together with an emotion. And those thoughts and emotions come together, and they form the structure of our physical reality. So in each and every moment, we are creating our reality. So, but what we don't realize is we're looking from inside the skin suit, and we're looking at me and my reality. This is me. This body is me. This life I'm living is the reality. But we're not seeing it from the broader perspective. We're not seeing from the infinite perspective. We're not seeing that we are these infinite beings having this physical experience. So as these infinite beings, we exist in many different layers of consciousness. We are multidimensional beings. That means we exist in the physical dimensions. We exist in the non-physical dimensions. The non-physical dimensions have many, many different layers. There are many different sort of playgrounds that we can go to. And when we're not looking at all of these different parts and pieces of ourselves, we tend to get lost here. We tend to get sucked into the physicalness of life. So we start to forget that we are creating. And instead of consciously creating, we start reacting to life. Hey, Mary Carr, good to see you. Thanks for joining. So hey, Fariba, I probably just butchered your name. I'm sorry. Thanks for joining anyway. Doing this without my glasses on. So anyway, when we forget that we are infinite creator beings, we get lost in being human, and we end up reacting to all of the physical stuff, all of the circumstances of our lives. So when something starts to, quote unquote, go wrong with our bodies, we go, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Well, there's actually not anything wrong with any of us ever. As infinite beings, it is impossible for us to be not okay. We can be having a pretty crappy physical experience in these costumes that we're wearing, but underneath that experience, we as beings are completely fine. There is not a single thing wrong with any of us. But we have to be able to start seeing from that perspective. As non-physical beings, we are pure energy and pure consciousness. Basically, energy is consciousness in motion. So when we take our consciousness and we place it into a structure, a thought form, a judgment, a conclusion, an assessment, then we lock those energies into a structure, and that structure, that assessment goes into our cells. The way we perceive life is interpreted by our cells. Our cells are energy. That energy is vibrating. And the law of attraction, this is a vibrational universe, the law of attraction matches our vibration. So when we believe, there's something wrong with me, which is never true, because as infinite beings, there's never anything wrong with us. When we as humans believe there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with my life, things are not okay, then that belief starts to show up in our physical reality. It can show up as physical disease, financial dysfunction, relationship issues, all kinds of stuff. Any of the negative stuff, any of the stuff that shows up that bothers us is stuff that is showing up in response to our thought structures, which are forming our energy. So everything is energy. This is why Tanya and I are changing the focus of this group really to energy, because as non-physical beings, that's what we do. We do energy. We are energy. So we need to start looking at energy. In order to release ourselves and release ourselves at the same time, in order to release ourselves and selves from cancer and disease, from all of the dysfunctions of the world, in order to unlock ourselves from these negative scenarios, we have to start seeing from the bigger picture. We have to remember who we are. We have to remember that we are infinite beings. And we have to remember that we are the creators of our reality. When we are functioning blind, when we've put the skin suit on, we have the veil over the head, we've got our ghost outfit on, the sheet over our head, we can't really see very well. And we forget that we are not this skin suit. We forget that we are infinite creators. We forget that we operate in terms of energy. We forget how to use energy. So in order to unlock ourselves from these negative scenarios, instead of looking at the scenario, we have to start looking at the energy that is generating the scenario. So when it comes to our physical bodies, Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? We need to start asking a better quality question, because every single question we ask is answered by the universe. And do we really want the answer to that question? I don't think so. I don't want anything to be wrong with me, right? It's like, we don't want that. So we have to stop asking the question, and we have to start looking at the solution. Our human self, the part that's got the sheet over our head, that's wearing the costume, that has forgotten that we are just simply wearing the costume, that human part is asleep. We're operating unconsciously. We are using our energy. We are in reaction mode, going, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Uh-oh, God, get that away from me. Stop this. We're looking at all the stuff that we don't like, and we're reacting to the stuff that we don't like. And when we react to something that we don't like, we resist it. We try to push it away. And by pushing it away, we just simply locked it in place. When we let go of the resistance is when the scenario can fall away. So if we're talking about something physical in our bodies, as long as we're saying, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And trying to fix the body, we're looking in the wrong direction. We're looking at what we don't want. Instead, we need to start looking at what we do want. We need to start looking at who we really are, because who we really are is infinite beings, and we are infinite well-beings. We are well-being itself. So when we can start to see that, when we can start to remember who we are, when we can start to see as the soul sees, what's the soul? The soul is simply the non-physical parts of ourselves, the parts of ourselves that exist in higher frequency layers of consciousness. And when we can start to see from the higher layers of consciousness, it's like going up in an elevator to the top of a building. When you're at street level in all the crowds in New York City, and all you can see is what's going on at street level. But when you get up to the top of the Empire State Building, you can see what's going on in New Jersey and in Connecticut and out on Long Island, right? You have a broader perspective. So when we can look at our lives from a broader perspective, it makes things easier to see in our bodies. For instance, right now, stomach issues, digestive issues, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, cramps, all that kind of stuff is going on. Do you or anybody you know, have you been looking at this in Facebook groups? People going, what is going on with my stomach? Why can't I keep anything down? Why am I having diarrhea? This is going on throughout the collective. Do you notice? Well, what's happening is that we are in this process of ascension. We are in the process of taking the sheet off. We are in the process of lifting the veil so that we can remember who we are. And as we lift that veil, we are raising up, like to the top of the Empire State Building, so we can see broader perspectives. We are returning to who we really are. We're starting to remember that we are infinite beings. Now, as this happens, what's happening is we are getting assistance from both the planet and the universe. We are getting assistance in this. We're starting to clear the veil. All of the stuff, all of the negative energies, all of the distractions, all of the what's wrong with me, and I don't think I'm okay, and I'm worried, and I'm scared, I'm in fear, doubt, worry, shame, blame, all of these old things, this emotional baggage, these low frequency vibrations need to go away because they're not who we are. They're the game that we've been playing. As we remember who we are, we start to clear all of that stuff out of ourselves. So right now, on a planetary-wide basis, what's happening is the energies of the earth are being turned back on. All of the energy systems that have kind of gone offline on the planet are being turned back on. Sort of like when you go and you get acupuncture, like you're not feeling well and your energy's really off. And if you go get acupuncture, they put the little pins in and they start activating those axial spin points, and they start flowing the energy through the meridians, opening up those lines. That's what's happening on the planet right now. The planet also has these ley lines that are like the meridians in our bodies. And from the universe, waves of light, ultralight, are coming to the planet right now. You call it diamond light, plasma light. There are many different names, but it's very high vibrational, very refined light that is coming to the planet to help override the lower frequencies. The lower frequencies are in bigger waves. The light that's coming in is in small waves. So these smaller waves are breaking up the bigger waves, the heavier, denser waves, the shame, blame, doubt, guilt, fear, anxiety, worry, all of that are the big waves that are being broken up. When the little waves meet the big waves, there's a clash, right? Have you ever seen two boats out on the lake? When the wake of those boats meet, it creates a bigger wave, okay? That's what's happening. So we feel those waves in our bodies. When those waves come through, they're hitting our cells. The cells are vibrating. And when these ultralight waves come in, they are breaking up the heavier, denser vibrations in our cells. So right now, all of the old energies that we were never able to really digest, all the stuff that we really couldn't stomach, the shame, the blame, the guilt, the doubt, the fear, the war, all of this, all of those old energies are stored in our cells. So right now, all of this is coming up to be released. So our bodies are actually going into healing. The diarrhea, the vomiting, the dizziness, all of these symptoms are actually symptoms that the body is releasing the old stuff so that it can go into healing. So the answer to the question, what's up with the stomach issues? What's wrong with my stomach? There's nothing wrong. This is what is happening on the planetary scale. So we have to be able to start seeing from the broader perspective. We have to start seeing the way that our soul sees. Our soul is not looking through the physical eyeballs. Our higher self is not playing in the shame, the blame, the guilt, the doubt, the fear. The higher self just simply does not go there. Each one of us is our higher self. That intuition, that little voice in your head that you go, well, I don't know, maybe I should do this, shouldn't I do it, I don't know, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm probably going to do it anyway. And that little voice in your head's going, are you sure that's a really good idea? Are you sure that's the way you want to go? And you're like, yeah, this is the thing that makes the logical sense. Then you go do that thing and it's like, oh man, I should have listened to that little voice. Well, guess where that little voice comes from? It's your higher self. It's the part of us that's non-physical that exists in the higher frequencies. We are connected to universal knowledge, the soul, the higher self. The non-physical parts of us are connected to the universal computer. Like we have access to all knowledge in the universe. Any question we could ever ask, we have the answers, but we have to get quiet and go within so that we can connect to the answers. The answers don't come from our rational mind. This does not help us when we go around and around and around in our mind trying to figure stuff out. This isn't where the answers lie. We're never going to find the answers there. The answers lie when this goes quiet, when we get still, when we focus our attention inside and we start focusing on our energy. When we start to focus on our energy, we start to notice Are we in this frantic energy, or are we a calm energy? Are we in resistance mode? Are we in reacting and resisting? Or are we open and receiving? Are we relaxed? Are we happy? These are energies. We have to start paying attention to the energy because that's how we operate as non-physical beings. So as we start to wake up and we start to remember who we are, we start to think differently, we start to operate differently, and we stop asking the question, what's wrong with me? And we start to go inside when something starts to happen with our body. What we do is we get quiet and we go inside and we look to see what is it that's out of alignment in me, in my thought patterns. What beliefs am I holding on to that don't feel good? What beliefs have been implanted into this rational mind by other people that tell us who we should be, who we shouldn't be, how we have to act, how we can't act, what we can and cannot do? All of those beliefs that get popped into our psyche from other people, mostly well-meaning people, mostly our parents between the times of we were born and 7 years old, about who we are, what our place is in society, what our place is in the family, how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to do in school, all of this. All of these things are implanted from outside. And all of these things cause the rational mind to start acting like the wild animal caged up. Our soul is free to roam. Our soul is completely unlimited. We are not confined to this skin suit or even this planet. As an infinite being, we have access to universes, multiverses of opportunities, of places that we can play. But right now, we have all chosen to be right here, right now, playing right here, right now. This is where we choose to be. But we have limited ourselves here, and we have begun to believe that there's something wrong with me. We have to let go of that idea, and we have to start remembering that we are the creators and we are completely unlimited. So when we can start to see the bigger picture of what's actually happening, that we are in the process of planetary ascension, meaning the frequency is raising so that we can remember who we are. So when all of the stuff of life starts to show up in the, I'm not okay, this isn't working, I don't like this, I want out, we have to start looking at that stuff, not from the perspective of I have to fix this, but from the perspective of what do I really want? Because what we need to fix is the stuff that we have just created. We are creators. The stuff that is showing up in our lives is the stuff that we have just created. So if I'm looking at something in my body going wrong, it's like, this is something that I just created. I have created this. This is the result of my previous energies. So looking at what is actually looking at what just was. So trying to fix what was isn't particularly effective. But turning our energy and focusing on what we want, starting to move our energy to clear out these old frequencies of I'm not okay, when we clear those out, when there is no more frequency of I'm not okay, the only thing left is well-being. So right now on the planetary scale, these waves of light are coming in to clear out the I'm not okay. Our bodies react to this. So instead of going to, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Let's start looking from the bigger picture. Let's start looking from the broader perspective. Let's start seeing the well-being that we are. It is impossible for an infinite being to be not okay. You cannot be not okay, despite how hard you might try to argue for I'm not okay. You can argue as long as you want. You can argue all the way till you can argue your way all the way back out of your skin suit with I'm not okay. And then when you hop out of the skin suit, you go, I was fine the whole time. Right? It's crazy. So this is where we are going. Tanya and I have changed the focus of this group from healing, because we don't need to heal our bodies. Our bodies heal themselves. We have to start looking at creating, remembering who we are, healing the body by remembering who we are. We are infinite beings, completely unlimited, totally okay. So we are creating a brand new platform for you guys to start to stand on. So we're going to start from the broader perspective so you can really see exactly how we are creating our reality. Because once you can see how you're generating your reality, then you can start consciously generating the reality that you really want, instead of reacting to the reality that is showing up. When we're creating unconsciously, life appears to be like this big random event generator that we just keep reacting to. Let's start consciously generating the events that we really would like to experience. So this is how we are going to show you how to heal your body. We're going to move beyond healing. We're going to not worry about the healing so much. We're going to worry about remembering who we are as infinite beings. We're going to start looking, we're not going to worry about anything, obviously, right? You know, that was a air quotes worry, but we're going to start looking at the broader perspective. We're going to look at the universal perspective so you can start to see how we fit in here, how this game is played. Because when we come in here and we put the sheet over our head and we forget who we are, the thing is that we've been playing this human game without understanding the rules. We don't really realize how the game is played. So we are going to show you, we're going to give you the rule book that we were never given when we came in with these skin suits. We are going to give you the rule book so you can start to see exactly how the game is played, so you can become masterful at playing this game, so that this game can start to be fun. There's infinite possibilities to explore here. This is an amazing planet, a beautiful planet with infinite possibilities. And it's time that we all start to remember that, so we can start to have some fun here in bodies that are functional, that we can go out and do anything we want to do because our body is along for the ride. The body is on board. So this Halloween, remember that you are wearing your costume already. This is the costume. The skin suit is the costume. Start recognizing yourself as the one who is wearing the costume, the infinite being who is infinitely okay. Start to remember your power, because you can create anything you desire. You just have to remember how. We all know how to do this already. We are infinite beings. We have universal knowledge. But we have to move our attention point from inside the skin suit back out to our infinite selves. So we're going to teach you step by step how to move your attention point from inside the skin suit, get you out of the costume so that you can remember who you are, so that you can take control of your life. You can take charge. You can start to consciously create and generate the realities that you desire to generate. The health that you desire, the wealth that you desire, the relationships, the adventures. Because we are creators, we can create anything. But we can't do that when we're mired in what's wrong with me. So this Halloween, make it a happy Halloween by remembering there is nothing wrong with you. You're an infinite being. And if you would like to walk this pathway from being the human self into being the soul self, so you have that broader perspective, so you understand exactly what's happening here, so you can see the broader perspective, reach out to me and Tanya. We've got some classes coming up. In January, we are going to launch a brand new course. You are not going to want to miss this. This is Ascension Academy, learning how to ascend so you can be your higher self, right? Going back to soul school so you remember how to be your soul. Okay, each and every one of us has this ability right here, right now. So keep that in mind. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat here. I'm probably taken up plenty of your time by now. So I will honor your time and hop off until next week with Lunch with Lisa. Thank you for joining me with lunch. I don't, it's too hard to eat and talk. So I have my salad here and my homebrew kombucha. So I hope you enjoyed your lunch with me today. And I hope that this was helpful. If you have topics that you would like me to talk about, please let me know. Pop them in here, ask questions when I do the announcement for next week. Pop your questions in. If you have things that you would like me to cover, I'm happy to cover any topics. So hopefully this was helpful to you today, and have a great, happy Halloween. So until next week, bye for now. Happy Halloween.